This week on Reproductive Rebel, we're exploring pleasure at the edge. I am joined by Sacha Fossa to talk about the Kinky Erotic Blueprint, a framework for understanding why some bodies crave intensity, sensation, power dynamics, and taboo. We'll unpack how kink can be a language of trust, embodiment, and nervous system regulation when explored consciously and consensually. This is a conversation about curiosity, compassion, and reclaiming desire without shame. Hi, I'm Adrienne Irizarry. I'm an East Asian medicine practitioner who is passionate about women's health and helping women to live their best lives. My goal is to put you in the driver's seat of your health, offering holistic solutions for a symptom-free life. Statements made in this program are for educational purposes only and not intended as a substitution for medical consultation or advice. We do not claim to diagnose, treat, or cure any diseases. This podcast is inclusive and welcomes all gender identities. The focus of the program is on biological function, and we will use the term women throughout, but it is referencing physiological and social challenges for biology, not identity. Come as you are. I am happy you're here and welcome all performances of identity. I hope you find something helpful in this show. Welcome back to another episode of the Reproductive Rebel Podcast. Today, we are getting kinky, guys. Welcome back to the show, Sacha Fossa.
Thank you.
So if you have been following our little series, Sacha and I have talked about eroticism. We've talked about tantra, and now we've been working through a deeper dive into all of the erotic blueprints. And today we are going to talk about the kinky blueprint, which might not be what you think it is. So for those of you who are new to the show and have not had a chance to get caught up with Sacha and all of her amazing wisdom, can you give our listeners a little overview of who you are and what you do?
I'm Sacha Fossa. My business is Sacred Temple Arts. Sacred Temple is your body. I custom design programs for clients to get their best sex and love lives, whatever that looks like for the individuals and their partners. I'm all for just the uniqueness of each expression of sexuality, as long as it's safe and consensual, of course. And I am also a licensed erotic blueprint coach, so I weave into all of the work I do the work of the blueprints from Jaya. And I don't usually dress like this, but it's fun. It's my mistress dominatrix side that comes out when she needs to talk about the kinky blueprint, or when I teach kink in different ways in terms of what clients need and what they want to experience. So you can find me at my website, sacredtemplearts.com.
I love it. So we're going to have all of Sacha's contacts in the show notes. But for all of the people who are like, kink, I'm not really into getting slapped and tied up. Like, kink is so much broader than that.
So much broader.
So much broader. I think this is one of the blueprints that has the most diversity.
Yes. Yes. Jaya does say that it's the most in terms of creativity and diversity, and the kink community is really known for that. I would also say, though, that every single blueprint has multi-dimensions and aspects and so many different layers to it. But the kink for sure has a different level in terms of where, there's just endless creativity and ways to play with this blueprint.
Absolutely.
And to become more educated in it as well, and to explore it.
Well, and that's what I'm seeking to do with this episode today, too, because I think that kink is really misunderstood. I think that there is a lot of shaming that goes on around kink, and kink looks different for different people. And that's something that I've heard you say very eloquently before, which is why I wanted to do this episode. So, can you elaborate on what kink actually is?
Well, when we're speaking the blueprints, which is this podcast, kink is whatever's taboo for you, right? So we're not going to pigeonhole it into any of the like kink community or definitions in any way in the mainstream. We're going to look at it as what is kinky to you, right? And in knowing you, Adrienne, I know that you have a kinky librarian side.
I do. Yes, I do.
Right? So that's right. Everybody has different parts of themselves that are kinky, whether you know it or not. Part of what I do in my work is draw out with my clients that will want to do the blueprints and understand more and create greater in their lives. We unearth or mine what their kink is if they don't already know it. And I've had so many clients come in that take the quiz and they're 0% kinky, right? No kinky. And the quiz we're talking about, there's going to be a link in the show notes. And it's basically you want to do the paid quiz so that you can get your blueprint stacked and know what percentages of each of the blueprints you have. And yeah, the kinky is the most misunderstood. It can come with a lot of shame. Pre 50 Shades of Grey books coming out, it was a lot worse. Mm-hmm. That kind of went mainstream. I don't recommend those books. They're terrible. They're a horrible example, actually, of kink. That's another whole podcast. But kinky has become a little bit more acceptable, or at least in conversation and like in the realms of like, you know, the women having parties with 50 Shades of Grey kind of stuff and reading those books and it kind of coming out in a different way. There's a lot more documentaries and films and things on kink now that are worth seeing and some not, but of course, but it's really what's taboo to you. So a quick example, you know, Jaya talks about she had a couple that she worked with that they might have been Mormon or some background like that. And they'd always just done sex for procreation in a missionary position. So for them, it was kinky to try anything outside of procreative sex in missionary position, right? Mm-hmm. Most people wouldn't be like, oh, oral sex is kinky, or like this is, you know, other things that might be like the norm culturally could be kinky for you if that's taboo because you've been in one specific way of doing things, right?
I think that's really important to highlight, which is why I wanted Sacha to lead with that. Because things that we enjoy that fall into the taboo category, there's usually a lot of internal self-talk around it. And it can be an incredible turn on. And then at the same time, you admonish yourself for the fact that it has a turn on factor for you. And I mean, it could be having sex in a car because there's the thrill of getting caught, right? Okay. It doesn't have to be extreme. It
ropes chains.
Yeah. I mean, like you mentioned my librarian side. I don't like getting spanked. That feels very degrading for me. But there's lots of things that are like totally on the table for me at the same time.
Yeah.
That, you know, I don't have a lot of lines that I'm like, I don't know about that. Spanking feels degrading to me.
Have you had good spanking before? I have to ask.
I have not found any kind of spanking okay. Like it just feels very much like parent-child, and I can't become aroused with that. It just, I can't.
Well, that's specific energy. If I spanked you, Adrienne, I wouldn't spank you in that manner. You might like it. So,
I have yet to encounter
there's a lot experience. I'm just saying, this is where we're taking it outside of the lines to what might someone like, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I actually came from a place of thinking that spanking was to pedophilia, like really drawing like some blurry lines that weren't cool for me. And actually, I was completely like kinks, weird and like dark. Because I used to have this persona of like Tantra goddess. And when I was doing all my Tantra trainings, and so in my energetic blueprint, that I just thought, right, nope, not going there. And then when I started to explore blueprints and step outside the lines of being in just all the shadows of my energetic, I discovered my body when it first was spanked in a really hot, erotic way for me, not in a way that would have triggered some of the other things. And I was spanked as a kid, and it was humiliating and degrading. And it was sick. In my opinion, it never should have been done. The way it was done, it was gross, right? So I had that trauma. And so I thought I would hate it. But when I had it in the right context and the right way, it was so hot. Right? And that's what I love about, so when people take the quiz, right, your mind takes the quiz, or like we project things. We're like, I don't like this. I like this. Great. That's your mind. When we get into in programs and when clients learn with me, whether it's virtual and on their own or in person and so forth, we test the body to see what the body likes. And there are so many times I have seen that the body actually goes, woo! I liked that. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, that was amazing. But my mind's like, you don't like that, right? So an example I also gave is I had trauma around being choked. And I wouldn't even let anyone you couldn't even do Reiki over my neck this far away without me flipping the fuck out in the past. But as I've healed and evolved and gone through different changes in my life and explored new things, I discovered that the right partner, the right person, I like being choked in the right way. I like the energy and the right hold on my neck. But like my mind always would have been like, no. But then I discovered my body actually gets turned on by that. But it's, again, everyone should take a deep breath. You don't have to be choked. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. What feels taboo to you? Like you said, is it having sex in a car, right? Or at home with the shades open, even if someone can't see you, right?
Or the lights on.
Or the lights on, exactly.
Yeah.
So there's two different big, like broad categories of kink too. So think sensation play, right? Spanking, slapping, different types of toys and so forth and touch. And then there's mind games, power, right? Mind fucking, like playing with just words and energy and ways of dominating or submitting through no touch at all. And where are you on the spectrum of that, right? Are you way over here somewhere or over here? Or do you like it all? Or do you have no idea? And what would it take to explore that? And there's the other piece too, is that exploring whether you're actually like to be dominated or do you like to dominate, to be a dom or a sub, or are you a switch? I was always a sub until I pulled out my inner dominatrix and the work that I do, of also something through Jaya's work that I help clients through, of like erotic persona work. And in that process, I uncovered my inner dominatrix. Her name's Sephora. And man, I was scared of that bitch. I was like, oh, fuck is this? Like, my life completely changed in cultivating her and playing with her and setting up safe scenes where I could be Sephora and dominate in the right context with partners and so forth, that suddenly I'm not the victim of my life anymore. I have a protectress I have Sephora inside of me. I'm embodied now with this dominatrix energy. It's like, fuck no, you are not going to fuck with me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? So kink is just all of the blueprints are spiritual. It's not like, oh, we're just doing tantra. Like sex is not spiritual. I'm sorry. I believe everything, all eros is sacred. And the kink, when you play in kink and you go to the edges and you get expanded through these different ways of playing, whatever's for you is so potent. The incredible states of higher consciousness. Oh, let's not call it higher consciousness. Let's just say expanded awareness, greater consciousness, liminal states, amazing new revelatory healing. And all of that's true. And at the same time, you could just do it for fun because it feels good. Pain and pleasure are the same things. They're just sensation. So which side are you on? And I used to think I was only on the pleasure side, but I like a little pain. I like it in a certain context, in a certain way. It can take a whole erotic experience to another level with a different sensation that we could call pain, right? To create something different. So, oh God, the kink is just, it's so broad. It's so misunderstood, like you said, and so worthwhile. I've seen so many people's lives transform with the experience of actually just even beginning to dip their toe in gently and then start to explore in certain ways.
I find having this conversation with people is always really interesting because it often starts with, oh, well, no, I couldn't do that. And often when those words are coming out of a person's mouth, you can see that little flicker across their eyes like, oh, I hadn't considered that before. Or, oh, that could be a kind of fun.
Yes. Yeah. You never know until your body actually experiences it. And that doesn't mean like, okay, let me get chained up and flogged and go to some extreme in a dungeon or something right away. No, you don't have to jump off a cliff that way. You know, you can dip your toe in one toe at a time, whatever feels right for you to explore this incredibly vast and infinite, you know, ways of playing in the taboo and pushing boundaries.
Well, and that's it. Is like, this is, you know, we've talked in past episodes about that one trick pony thing, right? Where it doesn't matter the blueprint. If it's like the same, yes, that it makes it hard for both partners to stay engaged because they're both going to come with slightly different breakdowns in which of their love languages, I mean, their erotic blueprints and love languages for that matter, tend to rule the roost and are the default, so to speak. So when it's the same thing all the time, there's boredom that sets in. And kink allows you to, kink inserts that little bit of thrill.
Yeah, and spice it up.
That, like, you know, you end up looking at your partner later and you go, we've needed something like that.
Exactly. That's it. Yeah. It should be new territory with kink, right? You're always exploring some type, generally speaking, a new territory and creating scenes. And what's so wonderful about kink is it's so different than a regular sexual experience if you're doing a scene. You're creating, which I teach my clients how to do, how to safely create a scene, right? And how to play in it and who is doing what role and what are the boundaries and how long is it for? And you create this incredible container. One of the another positive about the Kinky Blueprint, the positive side is incredible communication skills. Generally speaking, right? You learn your safe words. You learn how to use all of these different verbal cues and contacts of communication that is so in depth from start to finish and on both ends. Like you have tons of planning ahead of time generally, and you always have aftercare factored in. Right. So that's so different than a typical sexual experience where you're just like, okay, let's just, you doing your thing. And then like something gets dropped and is missing communication or otherwise. This is like, we know exactly what we're doing. This is how it's planned. And that doesn't mean the kink can't just be like infused into any sexual experience or any everyday experience, because it can and should be as well for fun, right? If that's what you enjoy. But there's ways to take it into an absolute art, right? An art that's amazing to create greater. And for myself, like even also, I had always thought, no, I would never let anybody tie me up because freedom of movement and so forth, so vital to my like stability and sanity from having had that restricted with trauma, right? And yet the first time that I was completely tied up with shibari and ropes, again, I couldn't deny that my body was at like a fucking 50 on a scale of 10 of turn on. And I never would have guessed that.
Yep.
That my body was like, this is amazing. Right?
Yeah. Well, and it's important to push these envelopes a little bit and like discover where our edges are because like one, it makes your ability to communicate what your hell yes and your fuck no are so much easier when you know where your edges are. I mean, it's no different than like when people first have alcohol or something like that and you figure out where your quote unquote limit is, right? It's the same idea. You're testing, am I comfortable with this? How do I feel in this? I always said I'll give it at least a couple of tries before I'll say like, no, this is not, because, your first experience might be not great because it's your first experience with it. Yeah. Right. And you may find, or maybe it's the partner that you're with. Like I never wanted restriction in my movement ever. I didn't feel safe. I didn't feel held because I had trauma in my own past that involved a restriction of movement. I was like, hell the fuck no. This is a hard stop for me. I am pretty creative and I will play in a lot of different places, but this is just a hard no for me until I met my husband. And his energy made me feel held and safe. And all of a sudden I discovered, no, I really like to be tied up and it's cool. It's fine. Yeah. Because he made me feel safe in that container. And then my body was like able to get on board with the whole process. Before we go deeper into this, if you're listening and thinking, I want more of this kind of conversation, the Rebel Frequency Inner Circle is where we continue in. It's a private space with one bonus episode each month, plus small practices and a community of women doing this work in real life. You can join us through the link in the show notes. All right, back to the show. So, like, there's a big piece of this that is women have to feel safe. Okay, so I'm speaking from the female lens. Oh. Women have to feel safe in order to be able to have this kind of play. Our nervous system.
Everyone should feel safe to have this kind of play.
Yes. No, and I agree with you. But women, the way that our nervous system is hardwired, we need safety even more.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, like, you can push boundaries, but that's where who and what it is really becomes critically important.
Yeah. And what's so wonderful is the sub's the one in control, really. The sub's creating the scene. It's the sub that's really the one that actually has the power. It looks like it's the opposite, but the dom is really creating, a good dom is really creating the experience for the sub to push up against edges and to experience more, right? But we definitely need to go back up, like, to just playing in the kink. There has to be safety. anyone wanting to explore this blueprint, you do not just go get some ropes and tie up your partner.
Mm-hmm.
That is the quickest way to cause nerve damage and serious issues. You want to have start with some nice Velcro cuffs like these that are so easy to use, and you can lock them in together and hog tie the person, and but they're safe, they're Velcro, hello, right? They're easy. I actually bring in a dom to my practice who teaches ropes because he's an expert. I'm not. He teaches shibari and a whole bunch of different types of ties and some other deeper kink stuff that, I'm not an expert. He is. So, I believe in learning from the experts. And with kink, more than any of the blueprints, you have to get the proper education for the safety. People can get hurt way too easily.
Yeah, choking is the same way.
Absolutely.
There is a safe way to do it, and there's a very unsafe way to do it.
So, flogging, right? That's my favorite flogger. We'll just show some different, again, sensation play items, right?
Yeah.
But this flogger is pretty harmless, it looks like. But if I smacked you on your kidneys or in certain parts of your body, it could do some real damage.
Yeah.
I need to know ahead of time exactly where I'm going to, play with this flogger. And same with, any of it. This looks pretty harmless, but it's got a pretty intense sting, that'll leave a mark.
Mm-hmm.
So some people might want to start with something more like this is a great paddle because it has a wonderful sound, but barely any real sting. Look how hard I'm going. And that sound, but that's not hurting me at all, right? It's just for the effect. So there's always different ways to play with things, in that way, unlike something that's more this could really hurt. I mean, that hurts my hand just lightly.
So the paddle that she held up has metal rivets in it versus being a soft...
It was velvet. Yeah. So, and then there's things like nipple clamps, right? I thought, I will never like those. Oh my God, the right nipple clamps, amazing experience. And because we keep coming back to this in each of our podcasts, everybody should watch Sex, Love, and Goop on Netflix, which shows Jaya, the creator of the blueprints, demonstrating different blueprints. And one of the things she pulls out for Kinky in the show is what's called the Wolverine claws that I'm
was going to say, that's exactly what my brain thought when I saw it. Is I was like, that looks like Wolverine.
Yeah. I mean, this looks like, all right.
Yeah.
And I mean, just look at it, I thought I would never like that. But when you blindfold me and you actually touch my body with it, my body gets so turned on. And these are not metal. These are plastic. It's not going to cut the skin. But some people are into knife play. Some people, I mean, we don't yuck on other people's yum, but we're going to be realistic about what is safe for you and what feels right and how to titrate into different types of play. I love this, putting a collar on. So I don't like to be walked around, but I like to walk a person around that's collared on my leash. Because I have a cat and she never let me do that. So it's fun to do it to a person, but.
So if somebody wants to get started, kind of, dabbling in this particular blueprint, how would you recommend they get started?
That's a great question. A lot of people would recommend maybe going to a munch. Sometimes what I've done is I introduce my clients to the blueprint and give them a firm education in it first. And then I send them, if they want to explore it more in the outer world, I'll tell them about FetLife, which is kinky social media platform that actually goes so beyond kink. It has every blueprint, but it originally started out, it's called Fat Life because it's more about fetishes. On Fat Life, you can find events and munches. Munches are when people meet at restaurants and they talk and explore in safe context about the kinky blueprint and talk about events and different things. And then you might be able to find people to like try out an event or a party or go to a dungeon. I personally don't like any of those things. I'm very reclusive. My kink is like, I like one-on-one, play at home, bring my dom in, teach clients, and safe, smaller, more organic experiences than group parties and things like that. But I also want to have my own dungeon in my home someday because I love all the implements the dungeons have. I just don't feel comfortable playing in this blueprint to that level with that many people and the levels that it's taken. So you got to titrate for yourself, right? You want to go all in and be like, yes, I want to go to a dungeon, and do a party and see everything that's going on. But then there's also the other spectrum where, like, for myself, what I did was I hired a kinkster who could educate me and take me into a dungeon that was closed just for myself and my friend to play and teach us about everything, right? And to give us the options, of course. Everybody always, the options, right? I was like, I'm not interested in medical play. I'm scared to death of needles. I don't even want to go into that room. I feel like I'm going to throw up. That's just me, right? I don't want to be put in a puppy pen and locked in a cage.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Not doing that, but I love all these other things, right, to explore. So it's a great experience to get the education and all of it and choose like, well, what works for you? And you could just try out at home, right? Simple things like if we just bring it down to the simplicity of when we're teaching the blueprints, energetic is like light off the body touch or hovering touch. Sensual is like massage and like, oh, sensual touch, right? And then we have like sexual touch, just going like right for the genitals. And then kinky, see, I can go without. You can be kinky. I like wearing my wig because it helps me get more in my dom persona, but you could just have a hat like this. It's whatever feels right to you, right? This also makes me feel like I'm in my dominatrix side. So it's good. Kinky, right? Practice on yourself. How does that feel? Do you like that or hate it? Right? Do you like the sound of a smack on your thigh? Does it feel good or not? Right? You can get a nice flogger and flog yourself. Right? See if that is something you enjoy or not. Again, Wolverine claws, right? Does my body actually like get turned on by this? Or do I hate it, right? And if you don't have any implements, just use your hands like I did with slapping, right? So kinky pinching, right? Pinching, squeezing, scratching, different levels of scratching.
Hair.
Right? Oh, love that. Right? It can be just figuring out for yourself what kinky touches might you like. Do you like any or all? And we've played with the fork in the different blueprint things we've done because you can take one item and do so many different things with it. Energetic touch, right? Sensual, sexual, right on my nipple kind of thing. And then kinky, right? Ugh, scratch, right? Poke, ooh, right? So anything can be turned into an implement of some sort. And it's just like, even if I didn't have anything to play with and I was dressed in a sundress, right? And like the most like not kinky type of thing you would consider, right? You could just play with kink by just your tone, right? And the way you look at someone. Like right now, I'm going to change how I'm looking at everyone. Right? And I'll change my tone, right? And also I like to change of like, you'll call me Miss Sacha. Right?
The energy totally changed for those of you who are not watching this.
I like Miss Sasha. Or if I come out as Sephora, my inner dominatrix, that's like really where I'm going more hardcore when she comes out. Sephora is very specific. She's like, so she fucks you into more consciousness, although she doesn't. So another thing to be aware of with kink, most of the time there's no sex involved. There's none of this. It's actually more of all of the other ways to play that are so creative and expansive.
Yep.
Right? And I actually draw a really hard line in the sand with how I do kink with anyone is without any penetration, any bodily fluids exchanged. It's specifically unless it's my partner, right? But I'm talking like creating scenes and dynamics of ways to play safely where you don't have to be in a relationship with the person.
Yeah.
Right? To do any of this, to get this type of play that you might want to explore.
So for people who aren't familiar with what a scene is, can you explain the dynamics of a scene? Because it creates a safe container with vocabulary and clear communication that I think is part of what makes kink not taboo, but feel like an unsafe place to play for some people.
It's a good question. A scene, the way I like to do it and the way I perceive in the kink community of like creating it is to have conversation about creating it. Who's the dom? Who's the sub? What are the roles, right? I go to the depths of what are the costumes, right? What is the vocabulary? And even before that, what are the boundaries? Why are we doing the scene? Who is it for? What's getting created? And I actually have sheets that I believe you can get them online of your own. And then I have specific ones I use with my clients, but checklists. What do you want in the scene? What maybe would you want? What is hell fucking no? Not in the scene, right? And then you have the safe words. And also it should be safe touches because you can lose your voice. I tend to, for me, a freeze trauma person, lose my voice. So I like to have touches as additional safe words. So like I like to use green as, so that means keep going if I touch like this, right? Yellow, meaning I'm getting triggered, something's off, or I need to slow down, or we need to take a pause, is a slap. I'll slap them, right? And then this is for a sub in this position, right? And then red is a pinch, right? I would pinch my dom, right? Stop immediately. Get your fucking hands off me.
I've reached that point of no return.
Major red, we need to address what's going on here, right?
Yep.
So with scenes, it's like it could be anything, right? You can create so many different dynamics of whatever. It's basically creating a little mini playground that's safe for a certain amount of time where everybody has their roles and you're going to do specific things within that experience, right? And you want to know what your aftercare plan is as well. What does the person want afterwards? And they might need to have multiple options as well, because you never know. Because coming out at subspace is like a high that's like drugs. I used to do a lot of drugs, and now I just like, oh, subspace is better. Well, but there's also like a dom. When I've been in the dom position, when I first was learning all of this, I didn't know about the drop that can happen for a dom after doing a scene if they don't have aftercare in a way that's needed. Because you're dealing with some major shifts in chemistry in the body and changes when you're playing with these edges and taboos and yeah.
So the dom sub relationship, and coming back to this because we talked about how 50 Shades of Grey is not a good example. And I feel like that's where a lot of people like benchmark their understanding of this too. So like this doesn't have to be like the shit you see on TV where the dom is in black leather and flogging the sub who cowers on the floor. Like that's the kind of shit that you see constructed on TV. It doesn't have to be like that. So, can you give examples of what dom sub scene scenarios could potentially look like, just so that people's horizons are a little bit broader and they go, oh, I wouldn't have even thought that could be dom sub, but that sounds kind of fun.
Mm-hmm. So many ways to play.
I know it's a huge question, but like I thought if you gave certain examples, that might be helpful for people who are new to this idea.
This could be edgy for some people, probably, but everything in this realm is that we're talking about. So I came up with, I can get very pissy. So when I'm like just something, I have a lot of OCD. And, you know, if like my partner is just like not following my rules in certain ways and doing things the way I like it could get very like, right? I'm sure no woman ever has had this experience. Ever. So I realized that was a place I could grow actually out of the usual like kind of drama bitchy thing I would go into. And so I was like, all right, you know what? If I start that, just tell me to get on my knees and suck your cock. And like, he was like, oh, what? Like, because he was all sensual blueprint. And I was like, no. But then he finally did it one day. Like, I was being such a bitch in the kitchen. I was like, oh my God, you left stuff in the sink again. Like, you know, and you made a mess on the floor. Like, I was just doing my like little bitchy whatever. And all of a sudden, he just went, get on your knees and suck my cock now. And I just turned like, I'm even right now, I'm turning beet red, right? Yeah. I was like, and then my mind, all the bitchiness just left. And I did it and I loved it. I fucking loved having my bitch put in her place. Mm-hmm. And I love sucking cock anyway, so like it's one of my favorite things to do. So it wasn't like a real part. It wasn't a punishment for me. But it was something so like we're in the kitchen, like I don't have shades and like somebody could have seen if they, you know, like it was a whole kinky. I have hard floors and I wasn't like, well, let me put a fluffy rug down first.
Yeah.
Like I could have played that bratty. I just got on my knees and did it. And it was one of the best sexual experiences we had with this particular partner because it was so out of character. Mm-hmm. Right. And he usually would have just like, bitch, he would have gone, okay, mom, which I hate being called mom. That's like the biggest, like my pussy shuts off so fast. And he knew that if he would, I'd bitch about stuff like around the house and he'd be like, okay, mom. Right. And I'm like, like, yeah, like, right.
Yeah.
So this changed the whole dynamic.
Yep.
Right. And all it was him stepping into his dom for a moment, creating a container for me and putting me in as a sub, right? In that moment. Right. Mm-hmm. And this was obviously I could have been like, no, I don't want to do that, you know, or whatever. But in the moment, I was so shocked that he finally actually thought like he did it. Right. He listened to me.
Yeah.
And it was foreplay for a really good night, you know, for us. And I really didn't care as much about the fucking dishes in the sink after.
It's amazing how that changes one's perspective, right?
Right? I mean, really. And it can just be like simple things. Like I remember, a female partner that I had, we were in the bathtub. I had this big tub and we were like in the bubbles and just like all in our sensuals. And all of a sudden she picked up my foot, right? And she started doing all these kinky things to my foot, like biting and like nibbling and like she was like jerking off my big toe. And like she just went into this like very like intense power game with me suddenly, which was so out of our element. Is like we're girls and goddesses in our tub having a bathtub, and it was like so hot. It was just, it changed everything, right? It took a different spin and dynamic. So what I'm saying is it doesn't even have to be that extreme. You could just literally change your voice, right? And I teach clients how to do this, how to get into a power stance and suddenly change something with your partner, right? Where you become the dom. And it could just be like, get on your knees. Now. I said no. Right? It can be, but you have to have the context of agreements around these things. So
Right.
It's not fucking abuse, because I've also had that shit. That's not what we're talking about here, people. And don't play in the kinky with abusive people or narcissists. Get a healthy person that knows what they're doing. Right? So just keep it safe and sane.
But just think about, like, as she's describing some of these scenarios, like, think about how that takes your everyday humdrum, blah, 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 right? And like, just the way that you talk about something, you don't have to go and put on a costume. If you're in a cosplay, that's great. But like, it can be little embodied things like this where all your tone changes, your posture changes, something that you ask of your partner that seems completely out of character for you could be like, whoa.
Yes.
And, and I'm saying this because one of the number one things that I hear from married women is that, well, I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. And then by the time they end up getting to bed at night, they're exhausted and their partners are like, well, what's left for me? Right? Little ways that you can keep the pot at a simmer could be playing like this in the kinky because it changes the tempo of the day. It changes the energy of the day. It changes like how you interact with each other. And then it's not just the same old shit day in and day out. It does not have to mean that you are well versed in tying your partner to the bedpost and flogging them. If that's your jam, cool. But if it's not, you can still play in the kinky. It's more of, I'm going to call it a pattern interrupt.
Yeah.
It is something out of character.
Interrupt. Yep. Yeah. It's very intentional, deliberate, whether it's a smack that lands on their ass, right?
Yep.
Or a deliberate command of something. Like, oh, honey, what do you feel like doing today? Why don't you lick my pussy right now?
I mean, what partner is not going to go, what?
Right? It's just, again, that pattern interrupt, right?
Yeah. And that's it. That's part of what keeps things exciting. That's part of what keeps you connected. But you've had a conversation around this so that you both know that whenever that random moment arises, that pattern interrupt moment arises, that there's been like terms of agreement laid out between the two of you ahead of time. This is my hell yes. This is my fuck no. This is how I'm going to let you know that I can't continue on with this thing or whatever, but it can make, and I'm thinking about this a lot from that like parent long-term relationship kind of energy where people are like, okay, well, the sex is the same and has been for the last 10 years, or, we're trying to get it in around the kids, and, none of this is exciting as it once was. And like sometimes that is where unfaithfulness creeps in, because you are looking for the pattern interrupt to the humdrum boredom of the rhythm of day-to-day life. And that's where the kink can really be a beautiful gift in your relationship. And so I'm so glad that we're having this conversation, because I really do think it is one of the most highly misunderstood.
For sure.
Because there is a very stereotypical BDSM and bondage kind of mental picture that people get when it comes to kink. And there's also a very standard way that people think about dom sub relationships also, that it has to involve flogging and leather and or a man that's manhandling a woman. Like there's just a lot of like, everything about kink is safe and boundaried. And if anything,
right. Yeah.
Exactly. The most well communicated of all of the blueprints.
Most creative, most well communicated, but it takes the education, it takes work, it takes a lot of communication work. Another example that just came to me is a client that I had who was like totally pushing on now to the kink, right? Because he had the stereotype of like people in leather and very like, just commercial, like a way of like, he was just like, ugh, like that is so stupid and gross. That was like kind of his opinion, right? Of like, just lump it in a lump sum of what kink looked like, right?
Yeah.
And he was a professor. It was very, just had a kind of different persona around his life and so forth, and different ways he presented himself. And he was also higher energetic. So when I got him to release that perspective, right, and to start creating scenes that we would do, right, well, he started with things like just having me be the Tantra goddess, right? But he's the sub. And I'm making him bathe my feet. And do all these acts of worship and service that were energetic and devotional that he loved doing, right? And as he started to realize how much fun he was having and the expansion that he was having in his own kinky and the turn on, right? Then he got to the point was like, all right, I'm ready. I want to meet Sephora. Right?
That's a pretty big swing too.
Huge swing. And we titrated. He met Samantha, my sensual dominatrix, in between. Right? So I'm like Tantra goddess, Samantha sensual goddess, Sephora.
Yeah.
And I have more than that too. But that's what's so fun is like, I'm getting my clients to explore these aspects, but they set the scene, right? And I mean, sometimes it's fun. They'll give me a scene. I'm like, that's beautiful. And no, all 100 of these acts are not in any of my boundaries. And you know that, but good try. You get points for creativity. Now let's knock it back to what we actually will do in this scene.
Yeah.
And I'll help you, right? So, I mean, if it's something like they want, oral sex or something, well, what about instead, like I'll provide a toy or something, right? Or just different, there's other ways to play that to make it where it's still very stimulating and fun and open and so forth, but you're not crossing any boundaries in certain ways that, whatever your boundaries might be.
Yeah, I think that's so important. Oh, I'm so glad that we've been able to have this conversation. And I hope for those
We
of
go
you
on
listening,
forever.
we could, because this is a really broad topic and it's really nuanced. For some people, they, have a partner that's pushing them to a threesome and they don't feel comfortable with it. But a lot of times it has to do with communication and so there's so many ways to get creative in this blueprint that you can meet yourself where you're comfortable and still push an edge, right? Like for some people, having sex with the light on is an edge.
Exactly.
So it doesn't have to be anything wild and crazy, or you can go and play in a more adventurous way than you might have ever thought possible before. And, it's all
Do your
about
research first. That's what I would
yes.
say. Don't just jump into it and run off to a dungeon or to a kinky event. Too many people do that, and they're way over their heads.
Mhm.
Way over their heads. And so you really want to find professionals and get the right titration to help you to get what you're specifically looking for and needing without putting yourself in danger. And I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I just want to kind of say that really strongly, that the biggest shadow of the kinky is that you can easily put yourself or another in danger in playing this blueprint if you are not educated in what the fuck you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And this is why I wanted to bring someone like you on the show to be able to share that, because it is incredibly important. So if you are curious about this blueprint, if you want to learn how to interact with this blueprint because it's not something you've ever considered before, please reach out to Sacha. Like you've seen in the course of this episode, she's very well versed in this area. She can make this feel a lot less taboo and a more accepted part of you. Because ultimately, it's all about having your best sex and love life, right? And having all of the nuances and painting with all of the colors in the palette is the part that makes this dynamic and exciting and makes you feel truly alive. So please reach out to Sacha. She can help bring color to this aspect of your intimate life. And it brings so much color when you are educated and you feel comfortable and you know how to articulate where your boundaries are. Really, the sky is the limit in terms of how you play in this area.
Yes. Thank you, Adrienne.
So all of Sacha's contact information is in the show notes. Please reach out to her. She's a wealth of information. Even when I think I know a lot of things, I then talk to Sacha and she pushes what I know, which I think is amazing. And I'm so grateful to have her on the show and in my network of amazing professionals that I can refer out to, because this is a really critical part of feeling alive. So thank you so much for joining us for this incredible episode. Please make sure, if you have not gone back and listened to our series about all of the erotic blueprints, I think that it's important to get spun up on all of those before we meet our last blueprint, which will be in the next episode. Mm-hmm. Thank you again so much, Sacha. And until next time, everybody. If you're listening to this and feel like there's still something here for you, like the conversation isn't quite finished in your body yet, that's exactly why I created the Rebel Frequency Inner Circle. It's a private space where we go deeper, with one bonus episode each month, small ritual practices, and a community of women who are actually living this work. It's just $5 a month. You can join through the link in the show notes. Come stay in the conversation.